Okay, sorry about that. I got kind of abruptly cut off before. Turns out I can only make videos that are 15 minutes long, and then this program just shuts me off. So I had to start a new one in order to finish off this tutorial on how to go from draft 3 to draft 4. In part 1, we covered primarily the banned word list. I spent a lot of time focusing on how to get rid of forms of to be. This is a big one for me. Mr. Scott's a stickler for that. But then I kind of rushed through some of the other pieces. I spent a tiny bit of time on usage. I rushed through the vague words, and I didn't say this. Let me make sure I'm clear on this. The reason, um, the reason I don't want you using words like this is because they're what we call in writing fluff. There's no reason for them. You're going to find that when you come across words like this in your writing, if you take them away, you don't change the meaning at all. There's nothing taken away from it. And you're sitting there and thinking, well, but I mean something with it. When I say very, I want to make it sound more. Well, there's better ways to do that. You actually find a word that shows more. He was a very bad boy. A better way to say that is he was a terrible boy. That's what I'm pushing you to do. I'm pushing you to extend your vocabulary and try to create better writing. That's the point of this here. These words are fluff. They don't do anything for your writing that can't be done better with more specific words, more action words. Grammar usage errors. These are the kind of things that often will happen in a lot of young writers' writings. Excuse me, that was bad writing right there. So I want you to go through here and make sure that you're clear about all these pieces. There's two ways to show a new paragraph. One is to indent, and the easiest way to do that is to press the tab bar. It's going to go ahead and move you about 5 spaces in. The other way is to add a space between paragraphs. That's called block formatting. Those are two different types of formatting. Don't do both. Don't indent and add a space between paragraphs. Pick one or the other, okay? So that's an important one. Adding more space, adding more than one space between words. If you were taught by your parents and your parents are old school, they would teach you to add an extra space after punctuation. You come to a sentence end and you put a period and supposed to put an extra space in there. Well, that's what you did back when we had typewriters. Word processors now automatically add a little bit of an extra space after any punctuation. They just know how to do that. So I'll show you a quick way to just check and see if you've done that in your essay. Once again, the magic Control F, you press those guys, and then you simply go space, space, and you see if you have anything more than one space in your writing. And in this case, look at that, I did actually find one. Just kind of accidentally in Blair's writing, he added an extra space here. So I take that out. You can even look for, see if there's more than that. Look for 3 spaces, but I'm lucky here, there's none of those. So back to the banned word list, putting a space in front of a comma, period, colon, semicolon. In other words, any punctuation, putting a space in front of those guys. I mentioned this really briefly in the other video. The only punctuation ever that has a space in front of it is opening quotes. Okay, that's the only time. Any other time you want it right next to the last character in the sentence. And you can check for those guys too. You can literally just come up here in the Find document and you can go space, period. And look at that, I found none. Space, question mark, nothing there. Space, exclamation mark, nothing there. Space, quotation marks. Now those, I have a few, but again, look at that, I have a few quotations. So as long as they're at the front, then you're okay. Back to the banned word list over here. Let's see. Starting a new sentence without adding a space. You'll kind of find that if you look for the punctuation pieces, but same old thing, when you go ahead, sometimes I see writers do this, they will end a sentence, they'll go period, and without adding a space, they'll go ahead and start a new sentence. Not capitalizing a personal pronoun, I. Now up above you saw I tried to get you to get rid of all references to yourself. So if you do that, you're not going to have this problem. However, there are 1 or 2 prompts that do actually require you to speak in the first person, to say I. And if that's the case, and you have a lowercase I, oh, in a final draft, because that's what this is, I am going to take points from you. That is just ugly. It's ugly. It's sloppy. It is beneath you. You're in high school. You're in high school. You know better than that. Just as bad, starting a new sentence without capitalizing the first letter of that sentence. Redunculously sloppy. We are not texting each other. This is schoolwork. You need to go ahead and fix those errors. Ending a sentence with anything more than one piece of end punctuation. Some of you like to show that it's a big question by adding more than one question mark, or it's a big statement by adding more than one exclamation mark. No, not in school writing, ever. One piece, period, or semicolon, or exclamation mark, or question mark, or, and this is one that some of you guys don't know about, but these guys right here, ellipses. Ellipses are how you show that you are either trailing off, right? If somebody's speaking and they just kind of stop talking, ellipses show that. The other thing ellipses are good for is if you're citing, if you're quoting something, but let's say there is a sentence that shows your point, but there's part of it in the middle that doesn't really show your point and it's not necessary. Well, you can cut that out and put in ellipses. That shows that there is something that you took out of there. The point is that ellipses are 3 periods in a row, not 4, not 2, never anything else. Ellipses are 3. And you'll even see with most word processors, Google Docs or MS Word, you'll see that when you go ... space, it changes the way it looks. It actually formats it correctly for you. So it's important to pay attention to these kind of things. And this is just right here. This is Mr. Scott's point of showing you guys how at the end of a quotation, if you are continuing the sentence on, that you always put, I'll show you right here, you always put, you have quotation, you have writing, and then you put the comma and then the end quotation, not end quotation, comma. Okay? Same thing as if you're ending it, you put the end period and then quotation. You don't put the quotation and then period. Okay? There are some specific rules where this changes. Like in citations, you'll see this when I show you the MLA format page. Or, for example, if you are writing a sentence where you where the question is not inside the quotations. I'll give you an example. Let's see. Did you say shut up? Now, this is a question, but shut up isn't a question. So this would be one of those rare cases where you put the end quote and then the question mark. Okay? Do you see that? It's a little bit mathematical here. It's nice when grammar actually makes sense. But in general, the rule is the punctuation goes inside the end quote unless there is a reason, a logical reason for it to go outside. Okay? So that is all for the banned word list. Get rid of that. And now let me go on to the MLA template. So again, this just sort of goes through what it is that's necessary for your draft. Okay, it says right here Times New Roman 12-point font. You are going to make sure that it is left aligned, which it is like this. And some of you guys don't know what that means, but here's an example of right aligned. Okay, you see it all shove over to the other side. You never want it right aligned. You never want it centered. A number of you turn things into be centered. No, 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 no. You want it left aligned, like this. Okay, the only thing that gets centered is a title that you put at the front of it, but I'm not having you do a title like that. Yours just says prompt and response and all that fun stuff. You don't even do it justified. Some of you guys may like the way this looks. It does look nice and square, but I don't want you doing that. I want you doing it left aligned. Okay, and then down here it teaches you how to do citations, and this part is tricky. Every time you quote something, Your job is to go ahead and say who and what, excuse me, who wrote it and what page you got that from. This is going to sound really hard, but the nice thing is for you guys, you only have one source. So this isn't going to be nearly as challenging as you think. Um, and I even give you an example down here at the bottom of what your works cited page will look like. All right, now this is an example here where it shows a few different entries, but for you it's only going to be one. And it's going to look a lot like this because you got yours from your StudySync book. So I'm going to show you right now. I'm going to go over to Blair's example, and I'm going to make a works cited page. So here I am on Blair's example. Okay, I'm going to come down to the bottom here. This is the end of his page. I'm going to go like this, and then I'm going to make it into another page. So I'm going to say insert page break, and now I'm going to enter this piece. Okay, so this is basically his works cited page, but it's a little bit different because he's not quoting Jon Krakauer into the wild. He is quoting Edgar Allan Poe's The Cask of Amontillado. Okay, that's what he is referencing. So that's what we're going to put in there. And I can even go ahead and copy it just to cheat and make things a little bit easier. All right, I'm right here. Now notice this right here is italicized. And if I paste that in right there, it's going to change because in this case it is a short story. And short stories are in quotations and they're not italicized. So we're going to go ahead and take out that space right there. I don't need this guy. And like I said, I'm going to go ahead and fix that piece up. All right. Now it's not Jon Krakauer. It is Poe. So I'm going to go Poe and Edgar Allan. All right. Very good. And for this part, the thing you need to change, it's relatively easy. All of you are going to have StudySync in there, but each book is different. Okay, everyone has a different title on it. It's StudySync Empathy or StudySync Dreams and Aspirations. So you need to figure out, just go ahead and grab your book and look at the front, and at the bottom it's going to tell you what it actually looks like. Here, I wanted to show you what I mean. So I found an image. It's a terrible image, and when I blow it up, it doesn't look very good. But here's what I'm talking about. It's this guy right here. That's where you'll find the additional title for your book. So I can't remember which one Blair's is, but it would say either suspense or again, dreams and aspirations, wherever that one came from. And right here, you put down in the book whatever page numbers your selection came from. Okay, and then that's what you would end up needing to put after every time you put a quotation. So here's what I'm talking about. You have this piece right here. We see in this line, I continued, as was my wont, to smile in his face, and he did not perceive that my smile was now the thought of his immolation. So there's a special way you add citations, and I'm going to show you how to do that. In this case, you would take away the comma, you'd go like this, you'd go Poe, and then you'd add the page number that he found the Poe writing on. And the comma would then come after that citation mark. Okay, and same thing up here. He has another example of a quote. Oh no, he doesn't. I thought he did, but he doesn't actually have a quote there. Yeah, not enough quotation. But that's how you put that in. That's how you cite your page. And like I said, you only have one citation, so that part's going to be easy for you. And that's pretty much it. The MLA template also gives you some advice for quotations, for the proper way to punctuate quotations. And you can go through that here at your leisure. For most of you, it's relatively easy, but some of you have quotations that are like, wait a minute, how do I punctuate that? Read through this. It's pretty clear, but if you have problems, by all means, talk to me. And that's pretty much it. So this is how you get your paper looking professional. Good luck getting those guys done. And for those of you who will be in class, we will spend time on class on Tuesday. And hopefully I'll be able to answer any of your questions. For those of you who aren't there, you're going to have to contact me on your own. I am looking for emails and looking at my phone. I swear it. So again, good luck.